All right, so I understand with the certificate, every student is required to kind of complete a project. It's not really like a typical project, but you took a trip to India, and it was kind of your brainchild, I think. Do you want to kind of explain the project aspect of the certificate and then kind of what you did with your part of it?
Sure. Along with how I said there's 3 introductory courses, then the 5 sections that you take a course from, then there's a 1 capstone project course that you need to take, and there's 5 or 6 options listed on the hardcore or like hard copy certificate guidelines, but this is also flexible as well. So I went to Frank and asked him, if I go to India last December, and take this class called Water, Health, and the Environment, that sounds pretty sustainable to me, learning about the different like rainwater harvesting technologies they put on roofs in India, and their organic farming that they use to feed the people in their hospitals, and different types of sanitation and eco-sand toilets. That's as much as I knew at the time, but I was like, this seems pretty, learning about other countries' sustainability ideas and creations. So that's one of the ways that you can fulfill the requirement for the project. There's also different ones in literature and economics and other types of subject areas. So there's a lot of different options as well.
Awesome. So you went last December. How long of a trip was that?
We left December 27th, so got to stay home for Christmas, and then came back Martin Luther King Day that Monday. So it was flying backwards against time, and like a 42-hour day that was really only 24 hours. Wow. But we got back to snowy Iowa City from 80-degree India at January 22nd. So it was like a 22-day trip, I believe, 23.
22-day trip.
Yeah. Taking out the airfare in between.
So how was the experience? Was it kind of just the overall experience? Was it what you expected, or was it completely different, or how did it go?
Yeah, I definitely didn't have any idea going into the trip. Basically, walking through the terminal at O'Hare, I was like, am I really doing this right now? Why did I decide to go to India? But I could not be happier, and definitely don't regret it, and have since then, my return, have just told anyone, if you can go to India, great, do it in a second. If you can go just anywhere outside the U.S., do it, because it's just going to change your whole perspective. There's definitely some things I saw were very depressing and sad, and the poverty in points, but then so many people with very little resources were being really innovative and creating sustainable techniques to do the most they could with whatever resources they had and create the least amount of waste. And a lot of these were really simple solutions, and simple is usually the most effective.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have an example of like something that you saw that really caught your eye while you were out there?
Yeah. Everyone doesn't like to talk about it, especially here in the U.S., but sanitation in India, they have these squat toilets, so they don't use any toilet paper, and they hardly use any water. So that was definitely kind of a shocker for us when we all got there. But the wastes are turned around after an incubation period of 6 months and used on the family's crops, or the local villagers' crops. And the University of Mysore in southern India, their environmental science department, we actually walked through their plots and saw that there was the same amount of progress in plants that grew without the fertilizers and then the ones that did. So along with sanitation, there's another pretty cool thing, rainwater harvesting. They're putting on a lot of the homes, from really kind of poor huts and really basic houses to the high-end, like closed gate subdivisions that we saw. We saw the whole spectrum, and it's really just a lot of times PVC pipe that's cut to basically be like a closed gutter almost the whole way. Just leave a little bit that when the rain comes off the roof, it circles into there, flows down the closed gutter, and then flows into, there usually are 50 or 5,000 liter cement tanks that had slow sand filtration systems built into the bottom of them. So slowly as the gravity took the water down to the spout at the bottom corner of the big box, it would be filtered out. But it was already basically safe enough to drink when it was already into the box, because it only had hit the roof, not the really contaminated ground, and because there's a lot of surface water contamination.
Yeah.
So That was just another pretty cool and
very
sustainable thing, because that eliminates so many plastic bottles, and plastic bottles are just not recycled there. They're not recycled here either as much as they should. They shouldn't even be used here, but that's a whole other topic.
Well, it sounded like you had a really good experience in India.
Yeah.
Overall, getting the certificate, good experience? Was it
Yeah.
Just a good thing to do?
It was great. I actually have to take the one last class, the Intro to Sustainability, this fall. So I've taken, the 21 other hours at this point. So that's the intro class. So it'll probably be another eye-opening and interesting class. But up to this point, it's been really enjoying, and I think employers and people in the future, no matter what your major, no matter what you're going into, no matter if you change what you're doing, the green revolution or whatever, and just environmentalism and the increased awareness of it, it's just going to help you career-wise and as a person, just to help spread education, because the education and awareness are really important.